Top assembly. Over here we're looking at there's a rod that aligns the dies for making short pieces. All of this will be illustrated. And here we're looking at the control center. The upper left is the clamp assembly, manually open and closed. Center position is automatic. On the right is the form cylinder, the same thing, forward, reverse, or automatic. And then here we're looking at the two-position cylinder, which is the A and the B. I'm sorry, this is the two-position cylinder. You can do A and B, or B. And here's the two-position forward or reverse. To the forward to the A, reverse to the B. I'm going to do a quick walk around the machine to kind of get a general idea. The cylinder we see right there is a tool position cylinder. If you see up on top here, the two stations. Right here we see the tube stop. Here's the tube stop arm connected to the rotary actuator, and there's a proximity switch. That proximity switch has to be made for any forming to be done. And this switch can be adjusted. And looking down here, loosen those two nuts or socket head cap screws and adjust the arm left or right. Here we see the first stage is the flare, the second stage is the flange. Here we see the two proximity switches, forward and reverse. Here we see the air supply. Now we're looking at the hydraulic power supply. The horsepower in the gallon per minute pump is determined by the speed and the power needed for the machine. We're looking at the solenoid valves. The first one to the right is a solenoid valve for the bottom cylinder, which is a clamp cylinder. The next one is cylinder for the forming, and the next one is for the two-positioner. It's completely self-contained, 220, 440 volts, three-phase. And this is the filter, the oil going back to the tank. Right below there, we're looking at the pressure relief valve. This will adjust the pressure, the system pressure, up to 3,000 or 3,500 psi. Two valves to the left, they're pressure reducing valves so that we can adjust the pressure to the forming cylinder or the two-position cylinder. Now here we are on the other side of the unit, and there's the two proximity switches, the forward and reverse. There's the two tool stations, A and B. You see the tube stop arm, you see the clamp. We've got our little tray here where we can put some tools to work with, and the starter box. And there we're looking at the machine complete. Now we're going to start making some tubing samples. Okay, now we're going to start assembling some dies and give a brief view here on how we do the assembly. The die we see there now is the first stage die, and you'll see that there are two diameters on these dies. Flip it over and you have another diameter. And this is the first stage where you make the flange, the first flange, and then after that we have to assemble the nuts and make the second flange, and we'll show this here. Now he's going to install the top clamp. Now you can see that we left this extension rod there for holding the tube into place when we're flanging some tubes that can be maybe 1 inch long. And we're kind of using this as a fixture to hold the clamps in line with the top clamp. Now he'll proceed to assemble it. He'll lower the clamp and assemble it. Quick shot of the dies here, and you can see that they're identified. On the bottom is 750 and the top is 100. That's for a 3/4 inch diameter tube and a 1 inch diameter tube. These numbers go towards the forming dies. When you're assembling the dies, this will apply to these particular dies and also with the dies that have the hole in the center that house the nuts. And the way to align everything up here, you can see up on the top and the bottom there's 2 plates, and the dies butt up against that to line them up with the top and the bottom. And if you close the clamp just about the distance you see here right now, maybe 1/8 of an inch, that'll allow you to push the top one to the back here so that it hits the backstop right there in the top. And then you're lined up. And then you just install we're going to form a tube that's too short for the clamp. That's where he uses the rod extension. And that fits inside the tube. Okay, and he'll place the tube inside the clamp assembly, like he's doing right there. And you can see there's a rest in the back there. And now if we come around over here, you see that the tube is hitting the tube stop. And that's how much extension is going to take place on the form. Now he'll go ahead and make the form. Okay, so hit the foot pedal. An example that once we determine where the tube is going to be placed inside this ID mandrel here, we just tighten it with a set screw. Don't tighten it too tight or you'll damage the threads. And then, unlike with it is now, then he's going to assemble it in the machine. The assembly inside the dies. Now the back piece fits into the slot. And if we come around the front here, the tube is hitting the tube stop. And that's the distance that we're going to do to make the flange. Okay, now it's in position. He's going to hit the foot pedal. Tube stop moves out of the way. First one goes forward, second goes down. Here we have we're going to be forming a 3/4 tube and we have to put a large flange on it. Now, this setup has to be done by the operators at their factory because they have to determine the right distance from the clamp. So it takes a lot of, not a lot, but once the distance is set, it'll keep repeating. But we just don't have that much tube here to keep going back and forth. So, okay, he's going to depress the foot pedal. The first stage is going to be the flare. Now we come to the flange. It's all done. There it is. Okay, there it is there. You can see here by the front there that there's a big nut and the back there's a small nut. So now he's going to assemble this die together and he's going to place it inside the tooling. He drops it in place there. Now you can see where the big ring fits in the back. And we'll come around the front here. And now, here's how much tube is extended out now. Okay, now he'll hit the foot pedal and he'll make the cycle forward. Clamp closes, first stage advances, makes a flare, the second one, flanges. Okay, we're going to go through one more form here now. This is the 1-inch tube and he's going to assemble it now so we can put it in the clamp. It already has the nuts on it. We'll go ahead and set it inside the clamps, into the pockets. Okay, now he'll go ahead and start the formal. sometimes where the pump is dumping the oil. The reason for that is we have timers on here so that we can increase enough the pressure, because the pressure is sometimes slow to build up. So we can increase the pressure so that we can do the flattening and the flaring to get the size we need. Here we see the finished part. You can see that it's flanged on both ends, and the nuts are in the middle. And the length of these can be from around 4 inches in the maximum length, and down to 1 inch in length. Another product designed and built by AMH. We urge you that you please review the service manual in detail to ensure that all procedures are used in order to protect the operator, because no matter what, there's always a possibility of an operator getting hurt when you're operating machinery. Please read the service manual in detail before operating this unit. You'll notice here that we have 2 palm buttons. And in order to make the cycle on the automatic or manual, it's necessary to use these 2 palm buttons. If you do manually, you have to depress 1 palm button and a switch up here simultaneously, whether it's form or clamp cycle. You'll never have one hand free. It always has to be 2 hands that are occupied. We're going to form a short piece, but if you'll notice that we're using the extension rod. So this tube is only like about 1 inch long. He's going to insert it into the clamp up against the tube stop. It's up against the tube stop. Now he'll make the 2 palm buttons, and the cycle goes. First one, the flare, then the flange, then the clamp will open up, the tube stop comes back, you take the part out. We're going to form a short 1 inch piece. Okay, now we're going to make the first stage of a short 1 inch tube. We'll put the tube inside the rod, load it inside the clamp up against the tube stop. Now I'll hit the 2 palm buttons, do the cycle. Complete. Okay, now we're going to start forming the short pieces. When we form the short pieces, we do not need the tube stop. So we're going to manually lift it up out of the way, and when he does that, now the micro switch has been made. And as long as that micro switch is made, you can form on the automatic cycle. If it's not made, it will not work. You don't need the tube stop for this, because the length that the tube sticks out of the clamp is set on the inside with the inside die. Now he's going to insert the tube inside the die. And you have to be sure that the tube is up against the inner die. We can see that the tube is sticking out, and the tube stop arm has nothing to do with this, because the stop is inside with the inside die. Now he'll start to form cycle. All done. And all this was done without the tube stop arm in place. So that's pretty much what this special machine will make. Another product designed and built. Thank you.